Hey everyone, today I'm in New Hampshire and I just drove Jefferson Notch Road and I'm looping it around because we're going to drive it again and talk about what we see as we go along. This right here says narrow winding road, next 9 miles. This is the second highest elevation road in all of New England, Jefferson Notch Road. The highest is the Mount Washington Auto Road, which is about a 2-hour drive away, maybe just an hour drive away, something like that. The road you take to get to the Mount Washington Auto Road is, I believe, the third highest. I don't know what you call that road. It goes between Gorham and I think North Conway, New Hampshire. But for the past couple months, this road has been closed and it was gated right here under the power lines. It looks like some guy has a sawmill operation. Yep. So this gate was closed for a very long time. This road is usually opened Memorial Day, so not that late this year. Last year it wasn't open until nearly the middle of July because of severe washouts from the spring thaw. It happened again this year, but not as bad. I want to see what kind of damage there was and what evidence we can find from it. I saw quite a bunch. Like I said, I just drove this road. So right now we're driving over a part I can tell this is all brand new fill. The road got washed away. I can tell they just put down like 2 feet of gravel here. They usually use 3/4 inch gravel mixed with sand and fill, the most common thing to make dirt roads smooth. Here we are entering the White Mountain National Forest. Still got some muddy areas. This road, because it's such high elevation, their mud season lasts much longer than the surrounding area. Thought this was a nice drive today. This road must get washed out pretty badly for them to take months to clean it up. But because this is maintained by the National Forest Service, it's always in very good condition. Never in bad shape unless you come here after a huge rainstorm. So this road has dozens of free camping sites for people to come to if anyone's in the area. Early spring and fall, those are the best times to come up here. Nice cold weather, not many people from tourist season. We're about to get into tourist season, meaning good luck finding a camping spot which isn't already taken. But there's a bunch of varieties here, good amount of campsites. You can fit a small camper, put a tent up. I camped on this road last year, or no, 3 years ago now, with April the dog, back when I still had her. I gave her to another family member since I'm not home enough. I don't feel to have a dog, but I still see her often enough. Look at this, a bunch of trees just blew over. Must have been when it was raining or muddy. You see, they just couldn't hold on to the ground with all the mud. Yeah, we used the campsite here. It was pretty nice. Most of the campsites here have water access. They all have fire pits. It's been a pretty wet spring in the area, so no fire restrictions. You can have them. Collect your own debris in the woods, make a fire. You're allowed to burn whatever you want as long as you're not taking it off of a living tree. So because there's so many people that use it, sometimes it's kind of hard to find stuff. So sometimes you just gotta buy it. But I've never had a problem finding stuff, but like I said, sometimes it's hard and you gotta go for a little walk down the road and collect stuff, not actually at the campsite. But they're pretty private. They're all hundreds of feet away from each other, so it's unlikely you'll be bothered by your neighbor unless they're playing loud, obnoxious music, which the park ranger will make them stop if that's the case. Park ranger comes by here about once a day to make sure everything is going okay, making sure you're not there too long. The limit is 14 days at the site, but all you got to do is pack up and move down the road, and you can stay another 2 weeks if you want. Nearby in the area, there's another recreational road called Cherry Mountain Road, which has much nicer campsites. They're very big. They're made for big camping parties of like a dozen people. You're allowed to park 3 cars at each one. Those are pretty big. Some of them are set up. You can even put huge campers in there, huge RVs. But those ones go pretty fast. I believe there's only 12 campsites on that road, and they're very big, and they're almost always taken, up to 2-week limit. I just saw a moose on this road on my drive down the other side. Maybe we'll see him on the way back. Not many people this time of year, not tourist season yet. I can see right there, we just drove by where they pushed a bunch of debris off the road. Must have fallen over in the winter. This is actually the road I crashed the car on a couple years back. Yep, just could not stop. I was only going 15 miles an hour. Couldn't have been more than 20 because my airbags would have gone off. You see right there, that sign says camping limit 14 days. I would have turned and showed you the camping site, but that would have been weird. There's a pickup truck with a massive camper in there. It's amazing that some of these guys bring those things down here. This road's very winding. But common courtesy out here, if you're the bigger, more rugged vehicle, you pull over to let the other one pass. Logging trucks do not count. They get the right of way no matter what. Because they are the ones that will get stuck. They're usually not four-wheel drive. Yeah, I know a tractor trailer has 10 wheels, but when you say 4-wheel drive, well, that would make it a 6x6. So I guess they are technically 4-wheel drive already. Some of them are 6x6, the more rugged ones. But still, when you're carrying a load in a big trailer, you're not the more rugged vehicle. If a pickup truck's pulling a camper, they're not the more rugged vehicle. You should be the one to back up or pull over if there's room. So yeah, I crashed on this road a few years ago. It's usually gated before the first snowfall, but not that time. Because it's the highest elevation road, temperature and weather differences can change drastically. Right now it's 68 degrees outside. Let's see how much it changes by the time we get to the top. I predict 65 today. It's always fun to play that game when you're going up a steep road that takes like an hour to get up or whatever. Right here I can tell a good amount washed out. Yep, and there's a stream bed with a culvert pipe. By the evidence, I think the culvert just couldn't handle it. It probably was also plugged. There's a campsite, nobody at it. No, I don't think that's a campsite. I think that's a snowmobile trail, but I think I've seen people using it as a camping site in years past. Yep, almost every campsite has a beautiful trickling stream behind it so you can filter your own water. That's also a great thing to have in your car. I don't live in the desert and I don't travel in the desert often, but when I went out west last year, I made sure I had a 7-gallon water tank, which I bought at Walmart. Big blue tank, held 7 gallons. Never even had to use it. It was just a waste of space and a very heavy object I had to keep moving to the front seat every single night for sleeping. But when we're out here, I usually carry only 1 gallon of water, and I have water purifying filters. You can get them at Walmart or online. They're like 20 bucks. Throw them in your tire compartment or whatever space you got in the car. You can literally drink out of a muddy puddle, but that'll reduce the filter's life. Most of the water up here is already crystal clear, and it says you can filter up to 100,000 gallons. We just passed a nice site with a fire pit. There's also a bunch of seemingly abandoned sites that say no camping. I think they rotate them so you don't wear out the land or deplenish the firewood. I think they circulate some campsites from year to year. I could probably find where I crashed if I really wanted, but I don't think I would be able to. So yeah, this road is supposed to be gated. It wasn't. There was a few inches of snow. And then suddenly going down this side, I could not stop. Airbags would have went off if I was going a little bit faster, which would have been way worse. But I had about $4,000 of damage. I didn't report it to my insurance company because I know I would have paid more if I filed a claim over the years, especially because of my age. So I covered it myself. It was mostly just plastic body damage, no structural damage. I needed a new headlight and a new windshield wiper reservoir. That's about it. Radiator was okay to drive out of there. This guy's going way too fast. Speed limit's 20 on this road. So they pave certain areas near the bridges because if they didn't, the winter could possibly erode and damage the bridge. So just over the bridges, it's paved a little bit. Then it goes right back to dirt. Someone did a little burnout, it looks like there. That doesn't look like it was them stopping. It looks like you see how it swerved to the side like that. You could see exactly where they started spinning in place. I like these recreational roads like this. I might do a camp video on this road someday in the future. Definitely not during tourist season, when it gets colder out again. We've already dropped down to 67, so we'll probably beat my prediction of 65. We just went by another little campsite right on the river. And here's the river crossing back again. I can tell by the rocks, this thing erodes and digs so much. It's so dense this year, the vegetation. We've had a lot of good rain, a lot of cold weather. That's how northern New England's supposed to be, nice and cold weather. Last 3 years had been unusually hot and dry. I'm hoping this year's a turning point. This area's still got a lot of rain in the forecast. This looks pretty, the sunshine filtering through the nice tree canopy. I love these shaded roads. Here we go up to another paved area just for the bridge. No evidence that the road was underwater. If you're noticing, I'm still using my old vehicle. I thought it wasn't worth trading it in since they said it was only worth a couple $1,000s, and I had put almost 10 grand of suspension work into it this year from off-road damage. Still running perfect. Might as well use my old car as a junker when I don't need the rugged vehicle. This thing gets about 5 mpg better off-road, but the new car amazingly gets better when it's on-road because it doesn't have the 300,000 plus miles of wear and tear. So I'm just using this as a junker when I don't need a rugged vehicle. Cheaper to operate. Yeah, so I put like 3 times that this vehicle here's value into it in the past year. Just kept breaking suspension parts. The biggest issue was I had to replace the entire subframe because one of the shocks just destroyed it to the point a new one couldn't be put back on. Now we're going up very steep, and I can tell here there's some pretty rutted areas, and I think this entire section here was replaced. That's what it looks like to me. I also see the drainage ditches are too small, see the piles of debris building up from rapids. Right here, we just went by a little pull, and oh, that's the one I camped in a few years ago with April, the exact same one right there. A long, steep driveway that flattens out where one vehicle or a camper van could park, or you park on the hill with the tents down on the flat spot. It had a fire pit, a steep hike down to a little trickling stream. It's mostly spring water in these streams, so even in the summer it would be very cold. But they had a nice little swimming hole. I'm amazed that there's still not that many people up here for the month of June. There's another camping spot. Nope. I like, you see how the trees are getting shorter up here, higher elevation. We're actually back up to 68, but we still got a ways to go. Nice and quiet, can't hear traffic this far into the woods. Myself personally, I like the campsites that are deep in the main wilderness, because those ones, tourists usually don't even go to them. You need extra fuel to even get back from them. They're deep, really deep. Here's a campsite, it looks like. Yes, it is. Got a fire pit. that one's right on the road. You got no privacy, especially when this road becomes dusty in the summer. If it's dry, whole campsite will be covered with it. I don't know if they bring tanker trucks up here or not to water it. They do on some residential roads that are dirt in Maine. I don't think they would do it here though. Just went by another campsite. That one's kind of weird. The fire pit's so close to the road. I know we're not close to the top yet because we haven't gone around the hairpin turn yet, which is a very dangerous turn if you were to go around it very fast at night, not knowing it's coming up, because there's very limited warning signs, just snowmobile signs, no actual road signs talking about it. This area I can tell was also washed out, and we have a culvert pipe we just went over. Yep, this is pretty washed out right here. Did I miss the hairpin turn? I don't think I did. Yep, this area I can tell they had to fix it. See the bigger gravel they put in, hoping it won't wash out again. The best solution is, and the logging companies do it often, when they're building the road, they literally use boulders and rocks the size of basketballs. Then they put smaller stuff. Ooh, there's a little tiny campsite there, but I don't know if all these are official. These may have just been made, and the park rangers didn't take them apart yet, because that one right there, it was 2 feet away from a tree. I think someone made that, and the rangers haven't dismantled it yet. But nothing says you can't stay there for the night. They're pretty lenient out on these roads. We just went by another campsite. You know, if you were in Massachusetts and you tried camping on one of their dirt roads, they'd kick you out in the middle of the night. They don't allow that in that state. I think it's because of the high crime. Is this another campsite? Yep, it's got a little fire pit. I know last year that's where they parked the grader. It's got a lot of mud in there. Very steep section of road. We're actually up to 69 degrees. It's not dropping today, like it sometimes does. This road I can tell washed out quite a bunch. You see how they made a high lip on the edge so it doesn't erode the edge before it grows in? They probably should have put a little topsoil with grass there to get that stiffened up. I already see some new erosion right there. Driving almost 20 minutes and we're not even at the top yet, but I'll start driving a little bit faster because I'm going under the speed limit quite a bunch. Right here looks like it washed out, and this is around the area I saw the moose, I think. Going around corners, just want to keep it really close to the edge. You never know who could be flying around the corner. This is the hairpin turn. You see, that's the only sign covered up with leaves, tiny little sign. Not really a danger going up, but going down you might be going a little fast. Let me look at my statistics on the car. Okay, so this car, when I bought it, it got about 32 miles a gallon when I lived in Mass. When I moved up here to Maine, it got about 28, still not bad, but years of wear and tear has brought it down, averaging about 23 mpg. Going up this steep hill, we're averaging, the very steep part in the past couple minutes, we're averaging 8. And at the beginning of the video, where it wasn't really steep, we were averaging 18. So, yeah. Any vehicle's going to get bad MPG going up these hills, and it would kill an electric car's battery. Electric cars do not do good in this rough terrain. I've asked a few people about their experiences with their cars, and they all say it gives them range anxiety. The best I've heard someone say is like 180 range. Most guys are like 120 on these roads when they live in northern Maine and New Hampshire. It's just a rough terrain. But I was surprised. Someone told me they almost burned up their entire battery going up Mount Washington's Auto Road, but completely replenished it coming back down with regenerative braking, because that's like a 40-minute constantly downhill. These roads here, this one I'm on now would probably recharge you pretty good also, but most of the roads are constant up and down. It doesn't give you the time to replenish. So that's it. Normal hills up and down, even if they're the same amount up and down, it doesn't recharge. That's a hiking trail right there. This right here is overflow parking. You come up here sometimes in the summer, it'll be going all the way down the street. You see it says no parking on this side of the street. Yeah, you see, they only want people on one side, and there are sometimes in the summer cars all the way down the edge of the road, and then there's only one lane. Then somebody's got to back up quite far if you encounter another vehicle during tourist season when there's considerably more people. That actually said no parking on this side of the street. They probably just used whatever sign they had. I know a lot of people get mad at me in my comments when I call dirt roads streets, because they're technically not a street. The definition of a street is a road with houses on either side, or buildings on either side. There are buildings on a lot of those logging roads, but they're far and few between. Mostly hunting cabins, people's summer getaways, rich people's second homes. There's big, substantial houses sometimes you'll come across in the middle of the woods. It's just people who have the money to build a second huge house. I know one of my neighbors in Maine, when they were trying to figure out where the property line was, he came to my house and he said, "Don't worry, I won't bother you too much. I'll only be in the country about 2 weeks out of the year." That was surprising he said that. Why not just get a nice fancy hotel then? But whatever. Right now we're going down a hill. You know, I've never burned up my brakes, only once, and that was on a steep logging road in Oregon. Only time I've ever seen my brakes starting to smoke and I had to stop for a while. I don't go down hills enough to warrant getting the brake rotors with the vents like they put on sports cars. The vents, it acts like sandpaper. It wears them down much faster. You got to replace them more often. So unless you actually need them for dealing with extreme braking, it's kind of a waste. Plus, I have the same exact brake pads on right now that I used out west, going on 50,000 miles with them. Despite all those burning of the brakes and stuff, I think I'm a pretty conservative braker myself. Pumping the brakes, don't ride them down these hills. I'm consistently tapping hard, getting myself to slow down, letting it go for a few seconds, letting them get time to cool down. I'm also very conservative with my transmission and stuff. I'm gonna pull over maybe and let them pass. Is there enough room? I think there is. Yep. Sometimes I misjudge how much room there actually is. I'm leaving. There was more than I thought when he went by. And here looks like a place maybe you could camp. There's no sign saying you can't in that little pull-in. Yeah, like, one thing I was always taught to do, and I don't know how much it's actually helping, but sometimes when I pull up to a stoplight, you'll feel the transmission shaking or vibrating a little bit. And if the light just turned red, or I'm in a drive-through line, or I know I'm stopped for more than like 10 seconds, I just push it into neutral, then back into drive. I feel like that saves it over the years from just, especially when it's hot out. I've done that for a while. And I don't do some of these things if there's other people around, but if I'm alone on the roads out at night and I come up to a red light, or I see a red light, I'll just approach it nice and slowly, and the chances are it'll be green by the time you get there, because most traffic lights these days are smart traffic lights, and they turn green when they see you coming. Then you don't have to use the momentum getting you going again, which is wear and tear on the transmission, engine, brakes, all of that stuff, and fuel economy. When there's no one around, I take off really slowly. All things that save components of the car. Don't take off fast. People who like to take off real fast, high RPMs, those are the ones who get cars that start leaking oil. They blow gaskets and stuff. I try never to get more than 3,000 RPMs on the car, unless I'm trying to get out of someone's way or avoiding an accident, or pulling out into traffic where there's not many spaces and no one's letting you out. This side of the is not as steep going down. And we're also not losing as much elevation because we're about to connect with the Cog Railways Road for the Mount Washington, which is already quite a bunch of elevation itself. So we're not descending that much until the main road will do the rest of the descent. Never found a blockage on this road, and I've gone down it a couple times in the past couple years. The National Forest Service and it being New Hampshire, but they both mean they do pretty good maintenance on the pipes. So I can tell this entire area was washed out. This is all new fill right here. Is that a camping spot? It looks like it is. I'm probably missing a lot of them just paying attention to the road. If I was actually looking for a campsite, I'd be going slower. That looks like another spot you could potentially stay the night. Looks like people have parked there, but it might not be one you can have a fire at. I want to do camping sometime this year in the summer. I have a few of them planned whenever I get the time. I'm thinking about maybe bringing a charcoal grill out on a camp. That'll be nice. Maybe buy a really teeny one that you can only fit like 2 burgers on. They have really teeny ones you can buy online. Even smaller than the Smokey Joe one you've maybe seen me use at the house. Might do some camping later this year. Yeah, I get carried away sometimes. You guys mention how I upload so much and and people wonder, how do you keep up with all these comments? People sometimes think I hire someone to read my comments for me. No, I don't. If I leave a reply or I leave a heart, that's me doing it. I need to cut down on that. You know, as I gain subscribers, I'm still reading comments as much as I was when I started the channel. And it's taking a lot of my time. I need to slow down. Other YouTubers said it's better for my mental health, and I think it will be. It's just hard to stop. And they also say they all stopped at like 100,000, especially with active channels. Because my phone statistics say on my comment page, I spend 38.9 hours a week. That's almost a full-time job equivalent just reading comments. Not the driving around, not the video making, not the filming. So I estimated I'm doing an average of like 16-hour days, and I'm also not sleeping as much as I should. So I do need to slow it down, but I do it because I love making videos of things. I'm addicted to it. It's always really fun. I am kind of addicted to it. You know, like a year ago, I got an AI bot that I promoted to comment moderator, and it has the power to automatically block comments. It automatically deletes any comments from people who are less than 30 days old on the platform, just assuming they're trolling accounts or bots. And yeah, that's also good for my mental health, because it comes with any online job. If you have as many comments as I get, you're gonna get death threats. I've got home invasion threats, all kinds of stuff like that, and that's the reason I'm not too open about myself. Those kind of things bother me, and I was actually diagnosed with PTSD. But for the most part, having the AI that deletes any malicious comments, and guess what? YouTube bots don't do this. YouTube, you can set up trigger words, but this bot, if someone is spelling words wrong like a bunch of times in the same comment, it deletes the comment because it knows you're trying to get around those filters. And it also can know, it also knows what words sound like, even if they're intentionally spelled to defeat those things. Nope, it knows, and it'll block them. Same exact thing. Yeah, so I have not got a death threat in over a year. Well, I probably have. I just don't see them. I don't go through my blocked list anymore. My channel blocks hundreds of comments a week, and I don't go through them anymore. It's bad for your mental health. Just let them sit there and rot. YouTube will permanently delete them after like 30 days. This bridge does not have the protection of the asphalt like the ones on the other side did. But it's also not as steep, and maybe it's not known for as much erosion. It looked like there was kayaks or something in the woods there. Weird. Look at all the water that guy has in his trailer. Is that for camping, or is he filling up with the nice spring water? Oh, that pile in the woods I thought was a kayak. It might be a pile of blue PVC pipe. They used to have water mains coming up here, I think maybe for water pressure for a small town back in the day, or maybe it was for snow guns to make this a cross-country ski trail, the entire road in the winter back in the day. I'm not sure. River's flowing pretty well. That's good. This area is not in a drought yet this year. We got rain all last week, while southern New England got nothing but wildfire smoke. They need the rain down there. Massachusetts is just about to click into a drought. Most of the state is abnormally dry already. I think we might avoid the drought, at least for a while, later in the year this year. So we might not be affected as much. I hope we don't get extreme heat like we did last year. Last year it was almost 20, no, I think it was 15 degrees hotter than usual every day on average, which did a lot with the no rain. That's why a lot of the trees around here they don't look like they're full, because they're still stressed out despite the time of year. They should all be full this time of year. So now we're back on the main road. This will be the rest of the descent back down to the main artery, which is the state road further down here, which will go back into Maine, which takes about 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour. Saw that nice snowmobile bridge coming up down here. If I would have went the other way on this road, it's a dead end. It goes up the mountain a few hundred more feet in elevation to the Cog Railway. More hiking trails to do Mount Washington. I don't know if that's wildfire smoke still. It might be. I think it's just smog today. Coming up here on the left is Upper Ammonoosuc Falls, a good swimming hole, but a lot of people like jumping into it, and a lot of people have died there because they hit rocks in the rapids that they don't know are so shallow. If you see rapids, it means the water is shallow, and it's turbulent because there's rocks in there. I need to get something to eat on the way home. I'm starting to get hungry. All I had today since I woke up was one Gatorade, a drink from the hose this morning on the way out of the door, and I had a couple of those meat and cheese sticks combos. I think that's it. Here's more parking area for fishermen and stuff to the left. Also people swimming in there at the river. This is a snowmobile lane to the right in the wintertime. I know now, it's been like a week, the wildfire smoke is mostly in the south. It's dissipated a good amount, but that's where it is now. I heard on the news, Tennessee, points south. You look at the wildfire map online, just type in wildfire or smoke map. It shows you all that stuff. There's a lot of wildfires burning in random spots you wouldn't expect. Places you think of as wet, like Florida, the South. There's a good amount of them burning. None of them burning in New England, but there are a bunch up in Quebec still burning that created all that smoke, but now it's all going out over the ocean and we're not being affected by it. That was rare. They said that it hadn't happened that bad since the 1960s. There's a lot of butterflies out today. Wonder if there's going to be anyone up here. Oh, there's a little bridge. The road must have a culvert. We're approaching pretty soon. Where is Upper Falls? More parking area here for the river. Here's Upper Falls. See all this parking space during tourist season? This will all be cars parked here and down the road to go look at it. I got some videos of that place. I was on this road when it was snowing like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. The growing season just started around here June 1st. June 15th for the top of the state. Yeah, people are right in my comments. It's kind of sad for my garden that growing season only goes through September. Usually you're safe most of October, but the definite safe area is June, July, August, September. No. Yeah, I have a 4-month growing season. I keep thinking it's 3. No, it's 4. June, July, August, September. But we did have a very deep freeze in the beginning of... No, light freeze in the beginning of June. Really deep freeze was on May 18th, where it was a good thing I didn't put my garden out because I almost did. Last year, we would have been safe the second week. Last winter was a very cold winter with a very warm spring and an extremely hot summer. This year was a fairly warm winter with a cool spring, cooler than normal, and summer is to be determined, but I'm hoping it'll be cool. We only had one severely hot day this year. Got to 95. Oh, why am I swerving for butterflies? There's no one around here though. Right here is an area that floods over the road almost every big storm, by design I guess. You see all the big boulders the DOT put over on the left so it doesn't wash out the edge of the road when it goes underwater. This beaver swamp here, it's not even the beaver's fault. The pipe is so undersized, the whole swamp floods and goes over the road, and then it slowly goes through like a retention pond behind a public store. Public stores, these days, any new development, housing development, things like that need to have a retention pond so it doesn't put all the watershed of your rooftops and driveways and parking lots into the water, because that causes downstream flooding, all the extra sudden water. So you legally by law need to retain it and slowly release it over the next day or so. I think the EPA needs to do inspections, which they usually don't. I find so many retention ponds that just aren't working properly, or the thing that slowly releases the water is clogged, so it's always completely full, meaning it just discharges at full blast, like it's doing nothing. You know, they have technology now, porous asphalt and stuff, porous concrete, but it doesn't work because cold climates would destroy it. You can't have water underneath. It'll create frost heaves. You want to shed the water and get it away from the road up north. Although I don't see why it wouldn't work though, if the what's under the road is able to get rid of it. But then I can. In the winter it would clog up with ice and expand. Got the steam train here. That's what I told you was further down the road if I would have went the other way. A couple more cars, then I can turn. It always seems like there's space where you can't go through. One more. Traffic's still fairly light. It's a weekday and it's not tourist season yet. I wouldn't come to this area on a weekend either, even when it's not tourist season. This is where all the people from Massachusetts go to hang out because it's very quick, because you got the main artery highways coming up here like 93 and 91, both bring you up here very fast. You come up here on a weekend, it's like 90% Massachusetts plates. Now that it's a weekday, majority are the residents, New Hampshire, good amount of Vermont and Maine, which are very close. Got some construction going on. Wonder what they're doing here. Tell what they're doing. Are they making... I see a lot of culvert pipe. No, that might not be No, that's some kind of tarps, rolls. I don't know what they're doing. Right here, you usually would have a very nice view of Mount Washington, but there is a good amount of smog right here. It's just a nice scenery in here. Just want to show the scenery. I'm going to turn around here. A lot of times you're allowed to walk around this big hotel. It's a historic building. Usually you can just walk around for free, but I don't know if that checkpoint's open or not. Very expensive hotel. I looked at this place once online, and their most expensive room, which is in like, I think the towers, and it has like its own jacuzzi in the room, it's like $3,000 a night. Amazing how some people waste their money. And the cheapest room was like, I think off season was $300 a night. That's a very expensive hotel. And you got the cheaper hotel across the road next to the construction site, which was still almost $200 a night off season. A little too rich of an area for me to spend. It's just a waste of money. Go camp for free in the woods where I showed at the beginning of the video. Or camp in the vehicle. That's what I'd do. I have both of my vehicles set up for overnight camping. Wow, remember how I was telling you guys I was getting like 8 miles a gallon on that up road? Now the statistics, let me wipe off the screen. You can barely see it with the dust from the roads. When I was going down the hills on the paved road, it says I'm getting 60 miles a gallon. That's because I'm going downhill, not just coasting. Now that we're back on the main road, live data is saying I'm getting 24. But really good. Everything is like way up now that we're back on the roads. Wow, temperature got up to 78 degrees now that we're around all this hot asphalt in the sun. Asphalt and rooftops, they produce so much heat. I know like places like New York City, it's now I think a law, right? Or a soon to become law. It goes into effect in the next year or so. Any new rooftops have to be white. Yep, I have a perfectly good roof on my house, which is shingles. That's one of the reasons I'm thinking about getting rid of it, because I want a metal roof where it slides off, because I have to go up there and clear snow off it all the time, or it makes ice dams. But when I replace it, because it's just so hot in the summer, I want to get a pure white metal roof that'll make the area around me cooler. I have a gravel driveway, so that makes it cooler. As soon as they repave a road and it's dark black, whole area is just so hot. There's a log truck not carrying too much. I don't know what the weight limits are in New Hampshire for those guys. Usually it's, what, 80,000 pounds on the main roads? Certain parts of Maine, 100,000. Maine, the private roads, they run 200,000 in the winter when the roads are frozen on their own roads, because the sawmill is right at the end of their own private road, cut into lumber before it's put on trucks for the public roads. There's some beautiful scenery up here on this road too. This eventually goes to North Conway, then it goes into Bethel, Maine. There's a couple turns before there, but I'm staying on the same route. I don't know the name of this road. Just the route number is 302. I don't even know what town I'm in. I know I was just in Bretton Woods. Is Crawford Notch a town, or is that just what's up here? I'm not sure. Today's a nice day though. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great night.